Elon Musk SpaceX has announced it will dispose of 100 Starlink satellites over the next 6 months after it discovered a design flaw that may cause them to fail. So where are all these going to go? They're going to try and burn up in the atmosphere, obviously. Okay, 100 Starlink satellites in 6 months. Rather than risk posing a threat to other spacecraft, SpaceX will deorbit these satellites to burn up in the atmosphere. Isn't that something? But atmospheric scientists are increasingly concerned that this sort of apparent fly tipping by the space sector will cause further climate change down here on our Earth, obviously. One team recently and unexpectedly found potential ozone depleting metals from spacecraft in the stratosphere, the atmospheric layer where the ozone layer is found. The relative low Earth orbit where satellites monitoring Earth's ecosystems are found is increasingly congested. Starlink alone has more than 5,000 spacecraft in orbit. Clearing debris is therefore a priority for the space sector. Newly launched spacecraft must also be removed from orbit within 25 years. The U.S. recently implemented a stricter 5-year rule, either by moving upwards to a so-called graveyard orbit or down into the Earth's atmosphere. Lower orbiting satellites are usually designed to use any remaining fuel and the pull of the Earth's gravity to re-enter the atmosphere. In a controlled re-entry, the spacecraft enters the atmosphere at a preset time to land in the most remote part of the Pacific Ocean at Point Nemo, also known as the spacecraft cemetery. In an uncontrolled re-entry, spacecraft are left to follow a natural demise and burn up in the atmosphere. NASA and the European Space Agency promote this form of disposal as part of design philosophy called design for demise. It's an environmental challenge to build, launch, and operate a satellite robust enough to function in the hostility of space, yet also be able to break up and burn up easily on re-entry to avoid dangerous debris reaching the Earth's surface. It's still a work in progress, though. Satellite operators must prove their design and re-entry plans have a low human hit rate before they are awarded a license, but there is limited concern regarding the impact on Earth's upper atmosphere during the re-entry stage. This is not an oversight. Initially, neither the space sector nor the astrophysics community considered burning up satellites on re-entry to be a serious environmental threat to the atmosphere, at least. After all, the number of spacecraft particles released is small when compared to 440 tons of meteoroids that enter the atmosphere daily, along with volcanic ash and human-made pollution from industrial processes on our Earth. Is this bad news for the ozone layer? So are atmospheric climate scientists overreacting to the presence of spacecraft particles in the atmosphere? The concerns draw on 40 years of research into the cause of the ozone holes above the South and North Poles that were first widely observed in the 1980s. Today, they know that the ozone loss is caused by human-made industrial gases, which combine with natural and very high-altitude polar stratospheric clouds, or mother-of-pearl clouds. The surfaces of these ethereal clouds act as catalysts, churning benign chemicals into more active forms that can rapidly destroy the ozone. Dan Ciso is an atmospheric scientist at Purdue University in the U.S. and a co-author of the recent study that found ozone-depleting substances in the stratosphere. He explains to me that the question is whether the new particles from spacecraft will help the formation of these clouds and lead to ozone loss at a time when the Earth's atmosphere is just beginning to recover. Of more concern to atmospheric scientists such as Ciso is only a few new particles could create more of these types of polar clouds, not only at the upper atmospheres, but also in the lower atmosphere where cirrus clouds form. Cirrus clouds are the thin, wispy ice clouds you might spot high in the sky above 6 kilometers. They tend to let heat from the sun pass through, but then trap it on the way out. So in theory, more cirrus clouds could add extra global warming on top of what we already are seeing from greenhouse gases. but this is uncertain and still being studied. Cisco also explains that from anecdotal evidence, we know that the high-altitude clouds above the poles are changing, but we don't know yet what is causing this change. Is it natural particles such as meteoroids or volcanic debris, or unnatural particles from spacecrafts? This is what we need to find out. Concerned but not certain? So how do we answer the question? We have some research from atmospheric scientists, spacecraft builders, and astrophysicists, but it's not rigorous or focused enough to make informed decisions on which direction to take. Some astrophysicists claim that alumina, that's aluminum oxide particles, from spacecraft will cause chemical reactions in the atmosphere that will likely trigger ozone destruction. Atmospheric scientists who study this topic in detail have not made this jump as there is not enough scientific evidence. We know particles from spacecraft are in the stratosphere, but what this means for the ozone layer or the climate is still unknown. It's tempting to overstate research findings to garner more support, but this is a path to research hell, and deniers will use poor findings at a later date to discredit the research. We also don't want to use populist opinions, but we've also learned that if we wait until undisputed evidence is available, it may be too late, as with the loss of ozone. It's a constant dilemma. And this is from the conversation here under Creative Commons. It's by Fiona Thompson, Senior Research Fellow, Durham University, and it's on Science Alert. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.